Honda seems to be a lot in the news lately, with crazy new patents, spy shots of new bikes, and generally a lot of good activity. But a hydrogen bike? How would that even work? Get your motorbike news in a pleasant way. Hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you don't miss the next episode. Welcome back to Long Way Home, everybody. Lovely to see your smiling faces again. First up, a quick story, and guess what? It has to do with Honda as well. They seem to be everywhere these days. It's clear that a lot of manufacturers are working on systems to monitor vehicles around you, and that this will be one of the next big things in the motorcycle world. Ducati, KTM and others are all promising production bikes with onboard radar systems in the near future. While most of these systems feature rear-facing radars as part of their designs, intended to spot fast approaching cars and warn riders to get out of the way before they're hit, Honda has the idea of using a camera instead. And rather than mounting it on the bike, this patent application explains that it's intended to be attached to the rider's helmet. The helmet will connect to the bike using Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, allowing it to display information or warnings on the bike's dash, or even intervene in the control of the bike itself to avoid an accident. Apart from braking, which will definitely not help you if somebody's coming at you from behind, how else can a bike intervene? It's not like a car. If it tries to change direction without the rider knowing about it and actually leaning, I cannot see how it can turn into anything but a crash. Honda's patent document explains that the helmet will also be fitted with accelerometers and gyros to compensate for the rider's head movement and keep the camera pointed at the vehicles behind. Processing power is going to be no joke either, used not only to stabilize the image but also to carry out image recognition, picking out vehicles from background objects and judging their speed relative to the camera. Once it's done all that, the system works out whether a collision is looking likely, and if it is, it sends a warning to the rider. So, this system, if it ever gets to see the light of day, will be a lot more complicated compared to the proven radar-based systems. It is irrelevant, however, which system gets implemented on the bike of the future. The good news is that it's obviously going to be a lot safer, and that's all that matters. Two UK police departments are collaborating with a transportation specialist to develop a device that will detect motorists using their cell phone while driving and send them a warning that tells them to stop. I say, old chap, would you terribly mind not using your cellular telephone while driving? Obviously, the device isn't aimed at motorcyclists who are usually too busy handling clutch, throttle and brakes to be diddling about on a cell phone. Instead, it's aimed at car, van or truck drivers, and that's a very good thing for riders, as distracted drivers are proving to be a greater and greater threat to rider safety. The device will be installed roadside to monitor both mobile phone signals and passing traffics, and through some manner of electronic voodoo determines if the origin of those signals is moving. Obviously, there will be no way of differentiating the driver from a passenger, but since this is not an enforcement system but one that is meant to raise awareness in traffic, it doesn't really matter much, does it now? Hydrogen fuel cells. Honda started working on fuel cell cars more than a decade ago with the Clarity FCX. Fuel cells work by burning hydrogen and oxygen to create heat and produce electricity for the electric motor. The only emissions are water vapor. Hydrogen power has been limited worldwide by the lack of filling stations, but the technology is supported by several auto manufacturers like Toyota and Hyundai. Many believe it is a superior alternative to electricity, which often comes from polluting coal-fired power plants and also has the inherent eventual problem of used battery disposal. While it takes hours to recharge an electric vehicle, hydrogen fuel cells can be refueled in the same time as a petrol vehicle. However, there is some resistance to fuel cells over safety issues of transporting and storing the volatile gas, and so far this resistance has limited the number of hydrogen filling stations. However, Honda is working on the technology with Toyota and Nissan, who plan to open their own hydrogen filling stations. A hydrogen fuel cell motorcycle patent, which was submitted by Honda in late 2017, has just been made public. The patent describes how the air intake ducts located in the front of the engine and on the sides of the bike will gulp in the air that will flow through the fuel cell unit. Air will work its way through the unit and then seemingly ejected at the back with the help of a built-in fan. The hydrogen tank will be located under the saddle and the power will be fed to the wheel using some sort of a hub rather than a chain or a belt. Now, I remember when I was in high school having a BMW hydrogen car poster on my wall. This was obviously a prototype at the time, but it made me think of how awesome the future would be being able to run any car on just plain water. Because at that moment, that was what was being peddled to everyone as the foreseeable future of the hydrogen car. That dream, however, faded away when the idea changed from filling your car with water to filling your car with hydrogen gas and driving that around with you everywhere. And in my opinion, that's exactly the moment in history when hydrogen lost to electric. Which is a pity, because that original dream would have been awesome if it had become today's reality. Let me know in the comments what your take on the hydrogen car / bike of the future is, or if you think everything in our lifetime will become electric. Well, that's the show, everybody. Give it a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and consider subscribing or becoming a Patreon if you've learned something new. Cheers, and I'll see you on the next one.